Hey y'all, Billy Thomas here, and in this video we're going to take a look at the SQL Where clause. Let's get to work. I've got SQL Server Management Studio already launched, and we're going to be taking a look at a table in the AdventureWorks database. So if you don't have that, you can grab one of the videos that I've already recorded on the YouTube channel and install that and restore it. And I'll put the link down in the comments below for that. But what we want to do is we want to first understand if we're going to work with a where statement, SQL looks at data differently depending on how you've defined that data in the metadata. So if we look at this table, so I'm right mouse clicking on product table and hitting design, and I'm going to turn my little cursor on, easier for you to follow me along here. And let's go to cursor, highlighter, and I think it's, there we go. Okay, that should be easier. And if we look at these different column names or fields, we'll see that some of them are integers, some of them are Varchar, right? So that's another way of saying it, like a text alphanumeric field. And the Varchar just means it gets stored at different lengths. It doesn't hold the whole 50 characters like for this name. It'll hold just enough room. It's an optimization thing on the database. And then there's a data type called flag, small int, money, and then there's date time. Each one of these field types or column name data types will be affected a little bit differently in the way that you'll be searching. So we're going to start by using the query designer to help us using the where clause. And if you're just getting started, this is a great way to learn how SQL is looking at the syntax of a where clause. So if I go to views, right mouse click here and hit new view, we'll give it just a second to pop up, and then we'll go grab our table and put it in here. All right, now we're going to be working with several fields, and I've got a product ID. We'll grab product number, the make flag, and we will do, let's see, size. And also I want to grab the standard cost. Hope I missed that one. Standard cost and the start sell date. Okay, now if we just execute that, now that we've executed that query, we can see down here a record count of 504 rows. And if we look at our SQL pane here, we can see that there's no where clause in here, right? So let's take a look first at filtering on product ID. Now, if you recall, and we'll take a look at, let me open it up here because I think it's important for you to see this. The product ID, we need to see what type of data type that is. It's actually an integer. So watch when I go over here, there's a column in this pane which says filter, and we can say, let's go with less than 100. So it should take the product ID, look through there, and it will go and grab things that are less than 100. And if you see it's added a where clause, and it says product ID less than 100. The important thing to know on numeric fields is SQL does not want to see quotes around that, which you'll see that in a moment when we go do the Varchar field. It will put quotes around things, and that's how SQL knows whether you mean a literal text or you mean a number is whether you put like single quotes around it. So when I execute this now, I get 4 records. All right, and then I can change it to something like, all right, well, what about greater than 100? Let's execute that. Now those 4 records are gone and the other 500 are here. Or let's say we just wanted it to be exactly, we want to see product ID 316, it'll go out and grab product ID 316. So that's numeric. it puts a where clause where it says column name equals and then just the raw number, and you're off to the races. I don't know if you saw in there, but it literally uses less than and greater than symbols in the logic piece. And actually what this would do is it would bring back everything but row 316, so 503 of them. Okay, so you can do less than, greater than, equal to, or not equal to, basically. So that's numeric. Now let's take a look at a Varchar field. So the Varchar is alphanumeric, and when we look at that field, SQL is going to treat it a little bit differently. The numeric is going to put single quotes around it. So let's take a look at this product number. So right here, if I look at this in the definition, it says it's a Varchar and it's 25 in length. So we're going to take off this filter for product ID, and we're going to tell the system that we want to look at product number that, and we can do something like explicit, like BA-8327. So I put that in there, and you can see it's bad because I didn't put quotes around it. So if I come in here and say, all right, I'm going to do a single quote and put that around there, now it's happy to go out and grab it. So it didn't need that on the numeric, but it does on the Varchar. Now, let's say we wanted to look at something that starts with BA. So we can come in here and say, do it a little bit different. We can say like single quote BA percent and single quote. And then if we run that, it went out and got the same record. Let's make it a little bit wider open. Let's just say things that start with B, and now we see the BKs, the BEs, and so on and so forth. All right, so that's how you do a wildcard search for something that starts with B. Let's say we wanted to say something that ended with 8. So what we do is we just move the percent to the beginning, and we'll put the 8 at the end, and we execute that. Now every one of the product numbers that comes up in this query ends with 8. And there's another thing we might want to do. Let's say we wanted to find the string 90 anywhere in the product number. So what we could do there is we can put in percent 90%. So that means it can be a wildcard anything before or after 90. Let's run that. And we can see 290, 290. Each one of these 20 records now has a 90 in it. And now I want to show you another feature of the where clause, which is dealing with nulls, right? And what null means in the database world is that nothing exists in that field. So it's different than a blank. A blank is actually an entity that exists in a field. A null just means there's nothing there, nothing at all. Right? So see where this size is null. The size field is null, but it's not going to be null for all the records. So as I go through, I can see some have sizes, and some places it's null. If I go to size and I want to look for things that are null or not null, this is how we do it. So we can say size is null. Okay, and then literally it types in where size is null, and we execute that. And now if I look at my record set, everything in size is going to be a null. And then if we want things that aren't null, we say size is not, I missed a space there, is not null, and execute it. And now 211 records where the size is not null comes in. And so that's the null statement. Here we're going to look at actually a make flag. And if we look in here, it's actually defined as a data type bit. And really what you're looking for bits is ones and zeros. So if we go over here and you see where this says the the make flag is either true or false. So some of them it's true, we make it. Some of it's false, we don't make it. So if we go into the make flag and put in a 1 and hit execute, it'll give me all of the trues. If I come in here and put in a 0, it will give me all of the falses. And that's how you deal with a bit field. Now, what about a money field? We have this field called standard cost. It's defined as money. If we take a look at it, let's pull this out. Could actually delete it and run this. Okay, let's see if we've got anything in here. Standard cost, standard cost. Okay, so we do have standard cost in here. And there's different values, so on and so forth. So what if we wanted to see a standard cost, let's say that was less than 1,000. So we just put in less than 1,000, and you can see that SQL is going to use money as a numeric field. There's no quotes around the argument that we're trying to filter on. So if I run this, now it's looking at anything that's a standard cost less than 1,000. Then I can change that to greater than. So it works the exact same way as what we had on the other numeric field. And let's run that. Now the standard cost is, there's 41 records where the standard cost is greater than 1,000. And finally, the last type that I want to share with you is a date field. So you can see this over here. It says start cell date. So again, let's just profile this a little bit. Let's pull this off. And luckily there's only 500 records, so we can scroll through pretty quickly. We can see there's 2008, 2012, 13, so on and so forth. So we can come in here and say, let's say we want to see everything that was before 2013. So I would literally put in here less than 12/31/2012. So that'd be everything up to, and actually we can put in, and I don't think I've showed you this, but you can say less than or equal to. Hold on, let me get the equal sign in there. Less than or equal to 12/31/2012. So everything after that would be 2013. Did you see that the system automatically put in all of this stuff in here to help us get the syntax that we needed so that it'll search correctly for a date? Very important that you see that, because dates can be really tricky. And if you use the SSMS, the SQL Server Management Studio, and the Query Designer, it will put in a lot of that formatting for you. It doesn't work every time, but I would say 95% of the time, it does it for you. Let's run that and take a look. So 2008, 2011, 2012. Now let's change it around to say greater than equal to. And there we go, 2013. And finally, we want to take a look at doing a multiple condition where clause. So I'll sort of walk you through this step by step. So the first thing we want to do is just run it straight open. Okay, so we've got this data set, we've got 504 records in there, and now we want to take a look at a specific thing for the business, right? So we're going to go and say, okay, let's start with a product ID that is greater than 100. Okay, and let's run that. Okay, so that eliminated all the records that were less than 100 and shows us 500 records. The next thing we want to do, and watch the where clause get built as we go along here. We're going to say where the product number either begins with an F or an L. So the way we do that, we say like, and then begins with an F, or like begins with an L. And we hit enter. And then if you look down in the SQL pane here, you'll see it's building and putting the logic in, the ands and the ors and the parentheses, everything in there where we want them. The next thing we want to do, and let's run that now. And I'm going to turn off this top pane and make this so we can see it a little bit better. And now we can see that we've got product number starts with F or L. All the product IDs are greater than 100. The next thing we want to do, see how we have this make is either got, actually we're going to do the size. I think we'll do size. Let's do size is not null. All right, so we've got size where we've got nulls. We've got size where we've got sizes. Let's say the size is not null. And then that will add that into the, as an and in the condition. Now we're limiting it down. So we've got product ID greater than 100. It starts with L or F. There's a size on it. And then finally, we want to look at anything that has a standard cost less than 1,000. So let's look at that. Less than 1,000. And so you get the idea. You can continue to build until you get to the exact data you want using your where statements. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. The where statement can be complicated, but very powerful. If you have enjoyed this video, I would ask you to like it and then subscribe to my YouTube channel. And remember, it's all joy because working with data should make you smile.